We start again with 2 Samuel 26. And this story takes place in this area where Saul is in Gibeah, but he hears that David has fled down here into the area that David would be familiar with. Remember, David grows up as a shepherd around here, but this is where in the wintertime where their flocks will graze, and so he's familiar with this area. He's really good at finding his way around here. So when Saul hears that he's down here, he chases him down there, and we get another time where David has the opportunity to kill Saul and doesn't, and demonstrates it, and Saul says, okay, you're a great man and great things will happen to you. Of course, David is still on the run. Saul has not been consistent in his forgiveness of David, so David doesn't trust him. And this time he flees again to Gath. So here is Gath. He's been down around here, and he flees over to Gath, a surprising place. They've already tried to kill him there once. He's killed Goliath. I don't know that he would be popular there. You remember last time he faked like he was insane so that they didn't kill him. But he goes to Gath nonetheless, and they're quite taken with him. At this point, I guess they can see that he really is an enemy to Saul, and thus he would be their friend. The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a thing. And he becomes a mercenary for the Philistines. And he spends most of his time living down here in Ziklag. But again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So the Philistines, besides Israel as their enemy, all other people around here are their enemies. And so David works for them, attacking and harassing all sorts of people that are actually Israel's enemies as well. So while he's working for the Philistines, he's actually helping Israel and building up their kingdom. This all goes fine and well until the Philistines are going to gather against Israel. And Achish, the king of the Philistines in Gath, is all right. He trusts David so much now he's willing to bring him in. But the rest of the Philistines are not so sure. They don't trust David and that David will help them. So they send David away back down to Ziklag, and there David will find that some of the Amalekites have destroyed the people and taken his wives captive and burned the city, and so he goes and destroys them and regains his people. In the meantime, well, let's look at this map. The Philistines have come together against Israel. All right, now this is a map from the battle with Gideon, but it will show us what we need as well. The Israelites are going to gather here at Mount Gilboa, and the Philistines are going to gather right over here by Moreh. And Samuel has died. Saul is worried about what is going to happen in the battle, and so he goes here to Endor, where there's a witch, someone who can call familiar spirits. And she calls up the spirit of Samuel, and Samuel tells him, you shouldn't have done this, and what's more, you're going to die and all of your sons. And that's not happy news for him. So he goes back to camp here. All right, so the battle takes place here at Mount Gilboa. The Philistines come and attack the Israelites, and they're successful. And Saul's sons are killed. Poor Jonathan, who would have been such a great king, is killed. Saul himself is wounded and wants his servant to kill him. He won't, so Saul kills himself rather than be tormented by the Philistines. When they find him, they take his body down here to Beit Shean. So we'll just look at this map again. You can see here's Mount Moreh, Mount Gilboa is where the battle takes place, and they go down here to to Beit Shean. This is the Roman city. It didn't exist at the time. At this time, the city was all up on the hill, and the Philistines have taken this city, and they put Saul's body there on the city. Now the men of Jabesh Gilead hear about that. So here is Jabesh Gilead and the hill country over here. You remember that they're the people that Saul had saved before. They hear about this, and they do a little mission of going and rescuing his body and giving it a proper burial. Then David is told about the death of Saul by a man who claims to have killed him, thinking David would be happy about this, but David in fact is not happy. Not only does he love Saul and Jonathan, but he also thinks it's a bad idea to set a precedent that it's all right to kill the king. And so, not knowing this man is lying, he kills this man and becomes king of just the southern portion, and we'll pick up there. After David hears of Saul's death and slays the man who claims to have killed him, ironically lying, he then is made king really of only the southern tribe of Judah, the southernmost tribe. Just to make sure we understand, you've got Judah, which has a huge geographic area, but much of it is completely unusable, just desert terrain. And in this case, later the tribe of Benjamin will come with the tribe of Judah, but in this case they didn't do that. That's the tribe Saul is from, so they stick with Saul. So one of Saul's descendants, named Ishbosheth, we'll talk about that name in class, but I don't think that's his real name. That means man of shame. Ishbosheth is ruling, and there's a struggle between David and his men and Ishbosheth and his men, so that we get this funny little wrestling thing that they do at Gibeon, at the well of Gibeon. Let's see here, I have pictures of that here. This is that well, so it's one that went way down. Somewhere around here they do this funny little wrestling thing, and a bunch of them kill each other. And then Joab and his men, Joab is David's general, and his nephew, if I remember correctly, but he's actually older than David. He is chasing Abner, especially one of his brothers who is really fast, Asahel, and Asahel is catching Abner, and Abner says, "You don't want to do this. I don't want to have to kill you. Quit chasing me. I really don't want to have to kill you." But Asahel chases him, and Abner kills him. And this becomes a problem because later, as David becomes more and more powerful, and eventually Abner decides that he will join David, and David brings him in, Joab, out of this kind of blood vengeance for having killed his brother, kills Abner against David's wishes. Joab is a great general for David, and he often causes David problems as well. We then get soon, and by the way, what this means is that as David has been ruling, he's been ruling from Hebron. Okay, so here's Gibeon, where the little wrestling thing was. Gibeah is just over here, where Saul is from, and right south of there is the territory of Judah. David's ruling from down there. Then eventually Ishbosheth is killed. David again punishes the people who kill him. He is very emphatic that you should not kill the king, which is always a wise thing. And he is then made king of all of Israel, and immediately starts to conquer the Philistines and all of their enemies, and has wild military success and spiritual success as well. He brings the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. He makes Jerusalem his capital, and that's another thing that we'll spend quite a bit of time in class talking about. But let me just show you how Jerusalem is right there. It's on the seam. So again, here you call it Jebus because it's the Jebusites are there, but you see it's technically in the territory of Benjamin, but right on the seam of Judah. It's not controlled by either place really. No one controls it. It's a kind of a Washington D.C., and so we'll talk about that in class. It's eminently defensible and any number of other things. So he has some people sneak in through the water system because the city is so difficult to attack, but they are able to, and they sneak in through the water system, and they're able to conquer that place. David wants to build a temple, but is told that that's not going to be his job. That will be the job of his son. And that's really where our reading assignment ends off for today.